Today on Locked On Rockies, it's one thing to lose. It's another thing to lose like that.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock On Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of August in the year 2024. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. If your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Every time you like a video, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment, you're helping the show grow, so I really do appreciate that. And thanks again for making us your first listen of the day. I'm your Rockies fan extraordinaire, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk. Been doing this for over 3 seasons now and been following this team my entire life. On today's show, we're going to talk about an embarrassing loss to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm going to wax poetic about Elias Díaz because I appreciate the hell out of what he has done and what he did for the Rockies before he was placed on waivers yesterday. And we're also going to, I want to bring that back up, actually. And we'll look ahead, of course, to the weekend and blah, 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 the usual stuff, because really the most important stuff of the day is recapping the game. And I do want to emphasize that Elias Díaz came to Colorado and did his job. So we're going to talk about all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. That game sucked, man. This whole series, I mean, in reality, you can't sit there and say that the whole series sucked because the Rockies had a position to win this series. They actually played some decent ball. They looked good. But it's against Arizona, and it was in a moment, and it was in a situation in which you needed to rebound. You needed to bounce back. It was another series finale. And it's not only bad, it's embarrassingly bad. That's an embarrassing game. That game leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the players, the coaches, and the fans. And it happened again against Arizona. And it's so frustrating when it happens to Arizona because, man, it is just the gap between Arizona and Colorado just continues to get bigger, man. The Diamondbacks left the Rockies in the dust when it came to rebuilding, retooling, reapplying. They play at a weird ballpark. They do all this stuff. The Diamondbacks simply, not only are they a better ball team, but they are better in the front office, and they've been better at executing their philosophies and plans. They've been better in the postseason. They've had more success. The Colorado Rockies are simply, again, just so far. It used to be close, but golly, after games and series like that, you just sit there and you feel like the Rockies are in a whole different spot of their own in the basement of the NL West. They are so far behind that even their 20-plus deficit from the lead of the NL West probably doesn't even highlight how far behind it feels like these teams are. And you can sit there and be like, well, we can point to certain things and point to things that are positive, but it doesn't matter. This was another butt whooping by the NL West to the Colorado Rockies. And it was responded with throwing the ball into left, 3 errors, 4 hit batters. I think the Rockies had 6 walks in the game or something like that yesterday. Unacceptable, inexplicable, and just can't happen. Again, this is flat out, plainly ridiculous. That's bad baseball. That's bad everything. I mean, this line from the pitching staff is ridiculous. It's nobody. Not a single pitcher had a good performance yesterday, except for Angel. He is the only one that came in and had an inning that actually didn't have any damage. 3 hits, 3 earned, 2 walks from Tanner Gordon to start. I know he's young. I know he's figuring it out. I understand that. That's fine. Peter Lambert, 2 1/3, 2 hits, 2 earned, a strikeout, 2 walks. I'm sorry, Peter Lambert didn't, no earned, 2 walks though. Molina, 2 hits and an earned run. Riley Pint, we all know what happened with Riley Pint as he continues to try and figure it out. Mixed in with the fact that this offense just went anemic against Jordan Montgomery, who hasn't been that good when they had chances to. The point is, the main takeaway of this series for me is it's not close. I don't sit here and think that it's 2025 ain't going to be better. Much better, that is. I say that because it goes back to our theme this week. Do I believe that this team, do I believe the members of this organization can help the players on this team get to where they need to go? And I really don't think so. Flat out, I really don't think so. I just see these games, and I know it's the one, and you're like, oh, you're just ignoring the fact that the Rockies played one run games against the Diamondbacks in the first two games. I don't care. They lost. They blew leads. And then when they have a chance to not get swept by a division rival, they have 3 errors. They tie a franchise record for most hit batters in a game. They walk 6 people total. It's a joke, man. That game yesterday was a joke. And unfortunately, we've seen too many things that are at least close or similar or related to that. And we've especially seen it against the Diamondbacks. There is not a single person in the NL West that even considers the Rockies remotely close to a threat. Not down the line, not right now. It doesn't matter. Because when you play games like that and when you blow your opportunities like they have throughout this series, you don't get taken serious. It was a lackadaisical, ridiculous. I mean, you just can't keep waltzing into Arizona and getting your teeth knocked in every single time you go there. You can't keep going up against your division rivals and keep getting your teeth knocked in and thinking it's all okay. 27 and a half games back from the lead of from the division lead. Arizona and San Diego are fighting at 2.5. Outmatched, outpowered, outpitched, outdefended, outhit, swept away, and you have now twice in a situation in which the Diamondbacks have beaten you. Actually, I'm sorry, once that has been double digits. Twice you've allowed double-digit runs to the Diamondbacks. And you are now 8-2. Oh, I'm sorry. Arizona is now 8-2 against you. That's a division rival, man. Little brother doesn't even begin to highlight this. Throw strikes. Hit the zone. Hit your spots. Do the fundamentals, man. That's what drives me nuts. Pro players are better than what they showed last night. Every single member of the Colorado Rockies is better than what they showed last night. But unfortunately, the ugly side of that and the outmatched and the feeling of being outmatched just continues to overshadow this season. It continues to make me feel like it just, you're watching the talent, you're watching the players, and you're just looking like the difference in the preparedness and the way and everything for Arizona looks like night and day. They were never worried about losing a single one of those games. The Rockies need to build confidence in themselves. The Rockies need to build confidence in their players. The Rockies need to build confidence because it's at an all-time low, and then it gets even worse when you just go and you play an absolute embarrassment of a finale. Again, what happens with the Rockies when it gets to the final game of a series? It's just like, oh, God. We've played this team twice. I mean, we're done. We're toast. We're cooked. Domination, man. Pure domination by the Diamondbacks in the NL West. And we get to cap it off with one of my favorite players of recent seasons being waived. Well, let's talk about that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gametime. Gametime's got you covered when you are in need for tickets to Major League Baseball events or whatever event you might need, because they are an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitches. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. You can get last-minute deals like up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. My favorite thing, you get to see the pictures from your seat, so you know exactly where you're sitting, and you can toggle the feature of all-in pricing. You just click the little button there at the top, turn that sucker on, and you're going to get no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your daily streaming services and your daily streaming services, your favorite streaming services. And we're also on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show. Let me know what's on your mind there as well. Hey, for your second listen of the day, Sully's got you covered in the world of baseball with Locked On MLB. And if you need to take your Rockies action on the go, SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the XM app. Man, I'm all over the place today. I'm sorry. I've been working at 2 a.m. this week. And let me tell you, that just throws around the old noggin. I can tell you that. So a little mismatch there. Elias Díaz waived by the Colorado Rockies. I've been searching, refreshing, trying to see if anyone has claimed Elias Díaz or what the Rockies are going to do right now. I'm going to do one more quick search to see if anything has happened when it comes to Elias Díaz. No. Let's see. There's something in Spanish. Okay, I'm not really saying it. Just in waivers. Elias Díaz did his job, man. That dude straight up did his job. And again, did he blow you away? Was he the best catcher ever? Nah. But he came and he played solid catcher for the Rockies. He was a solid catcher for the Rockies. Was he great? No. Was he the best catcher in the league? No. But was he a catcher that actually performed and contributed to his team and was getting production from the position that the Colorado Rockies historically have not? Yes, he did. Elias Díaz had one season in his time in Colorado where he was a below replacement level player. Not counting in 2020. If you count 2020, that's 2. But in 2021, he was a 2.2 WAR. In 2021, 2.2 WAR. 2022, 0.4 WAR. 2023, where he was an all-star, 1.4, and he's had a WAR of 1.1 so far this season, even dealing with injuries. He's also got an arm that can cut down runners, and he's had success at throwing runners out. Again, did he dominate? Did he do everything? No. But he still was a key contributor. He was still someone that made an impact night in and night out. And he was someone that provided stability at a position in which you really didn't know what was going to happen, especially production-wise. Elias Díaz came in and did his job. And yes, we can sit here and get caught up in everything where it's like, yes, should he have been traded? Yes, it should have happened last year. Do I think there had to have been... In my opinion, there had to have been at least some sort of small market or even one where it's not an enticing deal. But I think a team would have been willing enough to take a risk on Elias Díaz, even with the injuries, if the Rockies were like, we'll retain and we'll get the deal. Because, they do the waiver, trying to shed the salary, trying to save that little bit. But maybe it would have been worth it to eat that money if you would have been able to get some prospects or a prospect in return instead of Elias Díaz just being placed on waivers and moving on. Certainly, there could be some sort of a hope of a reunion in the offseason, but it just doesn't fit the plan for the Rockies. Unfortunately, we've known for a while that the 2 catchers on the Rockies roster weren't going to be on the roster for forever. They weren't going to be able to keep having Elias Díaz, Jacob Stallings, and Hunter Goodman all on the roster while waiting to figure out to get an opportunity for Drew Romo to come up and get some playing time. If you're putting Elias Díaz on waivers and he doesn't return to the club, then you have to prioritize playing Hunter Goodman here as well. But he needs to, and it does, right? Hunter Goodman, if no Elias Díaz, Hunter Goodman immediately becomes the backup catcher or the other day catcher for the Rockies, considering that they only have the one on the roster. So it's a move that had to be made. And it's a move that you can sit and criticize, of course, because there was an opportunity to move him. But at the same time, it's the context. It really is. How much value was there, especially this season compared to last season? If you're really thinking about it, last season was the time really to do it. Especially you had the year of control underneath your belt. You had the All-Star performance. It was before the calf strains as well, but it didn't happen. This is just one of those things where Elias Díaz isn't going to refill and retool the farm system with an insane haul back. But it's just one of those situations, and it's one of those moments where you sit there and you want to know more about the inside baseball part of this, right? You want to know more about why was Elias Díaz, why wasn't there a deal able to be made for Elias Díaz? What really was the reasons? Was it focused on this year and the injuries and the performance not being as good? Or was it last year and the Rockies were asking too much, or the Rockies believed too highly of Elias Díaz? This is a situation in which I would like some more insight into why and how it got made now. What led up to this moment here? Why up until this moment? What transpired throughout the season and at the trade deadline that brought us to this point with Elias Díaz? But at the end of the day, it's a move that this is a move that pivots towards getting younger guys playing time. This is a move that actually goes towards the idea of rebuilding. This is a move that you do sit there and you say, oh, it might sting if you're a guy like me who's an Elias Díaz fan. I just really appreciate. Dude tries to hit the ball out of the yard every time. Seems like he was a great clubhouse guy and provided one of my favorite Rockies moments of all time that I got to see in person at the All-Star game. But there's still the reality of this. There's still the situations. It still makes sense. There's still a reason behind this. But now it's okay, so how long is Drew Romo going to come up? Does Drew Romo get consistent playing time if he comes up? Because what happens with Stallings and Goodman? Is Goodman going to be shifting to playing other positions so he can be getting some consistent playing time, so he can get out there? It's just one of those moments where it's just like, he's just a guy you like to root for, right? But at the same time, it's not. You can't overhold. You can't hold on too much. You can't overhype it too much just because of some moments that you like there. But you can't sit there and deny the fact that Elias Díaz was a solid catcher for the Rockies. He was above average in terms of the statistical categories. He contributed in a positive manner to the Rockies. The Rockies were a better team with Elias Díaz on the field when he was there. So that's why I got to give props, because that's a guy that hopefully gets picked up by a team that's in the playoff hunt and has some moments where he can come up and do some cool stuff, because it's a guy that knows how to find himself in big moments and come up big in those situations. And it's a veteran guy that deserves to have his shot at a playoff team instead of, wasting away on a team that's on the fast track to 100 losses. But I am a little bummed for sure. Elias Díaz was a ton of fun to watch, and when you really look at it too, these are decent to good numbers here as well. Batting 270 right now. He's driven in 36. He's hit 5 home runs, 315 OBP, slugging of 378, and OPS of 693. So again, not really like impressive or whatever. But I think a lot of people would be happy if their catcher had those numbers. Remind you that he's been battling the injuries as well and missed time here in this stretch as well. Elias Díaz was, he will be a Rocky that is talked about favorably for a while, because during his time here, you really couldn't be upset with too much that Elias Díaz was doing. But again, it's another opportunity for us to try to wonder what goes on in the minds of the Rockies front office and what it takes to be a GM in the league. So there we go. We will miss you, Elias Díaz. I know he technically still could come back to the team and all that good stuff, but I'm going to say that's a little bit unlikely. So we'll keep our eyes out there and see where our friend Elias Díaz ends up. But a tip of the cap to you and what you have done, Elias Díaz, and best of luck. All right. Let's take another break. Let's look ahead to the Padres series and wrap up this edition of Locked On Rockies. That's all coming up in segment number 3 of today's episode. Before we do that, though, folks, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible. And that includes PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. That's right. So your friend that's always there, always on the app, always scrolling, going to sneak in and take that waiver wire pickup that you were looking for, all that stuff, you don't have to worry about it. It's all just you against the numbers at PrizePicks. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in: base hits, strikeouts, walks, etc. And it's not just baseball, it's all the sports as well. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We are also brought to you by Liquid IV. Liquid IV's got you covered here when you need to hit your hydration. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festival blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all of your favorite flavors on their website, and like lemon lime, pina colada, and more. Because all you got to do, here's how it works. All you do, take the little packet, you tear, you pour, you live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than just water alone. Powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that can turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you all that good Rockies talk. Hey, it's going to be a fun weekend at the Yard this weekend, and I'm really jealous of a lot of you. While the Padres are coming in red hot and might be a problem for the Roccos, and certainly something to keep in mind, but it is going to be the Todd Helton celebration weekend. So I'm really jealous of you folks getting out there to go and celebrate that. The giveaways look great. The opportunity to see the plaque is going to be awesome. This is a weekend. If you have been missing out on the Rockies, if you want to kind of check back in on the Rockies of the past and kind of go back and enjoy some of the good times of Rockies baseball, and I believe Peyton Manning's going to be there, Clint Hurdle's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of people around. There's going to be a lot of reminiscing about the great Todd Helton and looking back at that incredible career. So if you're looking to get back out there, get to Coors Field and enjoy something there, I'm sure those bobbleheads are going to go real, real fast, because they are sick. And if anybody wants to get me a bobblehead, let's make it happen. please. But the Rockies play the red hot Padres, man. And this we talked about this with Javi before. And there's really what look into the lineups here. I'll go ahead and I'll give you the usual here as we look. But again, this is a situation in which you have a division opponent that's playing great baseball coming into your house. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to play up to the standards that you know how to play against the Padres? Are you going to win the season series against the Padres? That's on the line here. If you're thinking about this here, this is in a crucial situation for the Padres, especially where they can't afford to drop any games to the Rockies or teams like the Rockies. Can you win at least one game so you can win the season series? Can you hang on and make things problematic for San Diego, who currently sits behind Arizona in terms of looks like probably head-to-head in the NL West. So now that Arizona just got to have their Rockies series, how do the Padres respond? And if you're the Rockies, you got to keep playing. You got to play spoiler. You got to get back into that situation in which you're comfortable at home. And a winning series helps keep you inch closer and closer to being a 500 team at home. The Rockies, if they win this series, not sweep this series, win this series, will improve to 29-33 at home. They'll improve to 30-32 if they sweep the Padres somehow. So that's a small milestone to look for. That's something that's good. That's a good reflector. That's a possibility. Takes the sting a little bit out of some stuff, but just adds in further to the narrative that the Rockies can't play on the road, which they can. But it's how do you respond? That's really it's how do you respond in the middle of August when you're well eliminated, when things aren't going well for you? What is the Rockies' response here? Because you're still in a situation in which you can impact the playoffs. You're still in a situation that you can, shake things up yet again for the Padres. It's your last chance to play the Padres. What type of message do you want to send? Do you want to at least send a message to the NL West that says, hey, we might be picked on and beat up and kicked around by the rest of you, but San Diego, not today, buddies. Not this time. No, it's not really enough. This really doesn't mean a lot, but that's a morale booster. It's a small victory. At this point, you got to focus on small victories for the Rockies. The big ones don't come all that often. And when they've had opportunities to get big wins, they've farted them away. It's been the theme of this week for Rockies baseball. So we'll see. Padres, they've won 4 out of their last 5, just swept away the Marlins there, or not the Marlins, the Pirates there. Man, Padres, nice little stretch of series there. Pirates, Marlins, and Rockies back to back while they're in the midst of a playoff hunt. Gotta love that. Man, Jurickson Profar, dude. Jurickson Profar leads the Padres in home runs, leads the Padres in batting average, and leads the Padres in RBI. That's wild. That is insane, man. And I'm sure he's going to be chomping at the bit again to have an opportunity. We know what happens with revenge games. We know what happens there. But we'll see. We'll see what the Rockies got to do. We'll see how the Rockies can respond. We'll see how the Rockies can handle the Padres, the red hot Padres here in the second half of the season. Final matchup between the Padres and the Rockies this season. Seems a little early for that to happen, but what are you gonna do? Folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered with stories from all around the league and is getting you ready for the playoffs as well. So check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. If you'd rather some Colorado sports coverage, well, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs. Free and streaming available to you as well. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.